Welcome to the last part. Now we talk about audience. Just now we had this idea of jazz as has heteronomous thing, and then we have some opposite argument that jazz is actually a kind of a self-reliance activities. So now putting together, I like to think about how audience affect jazz playing. But before saying that, I just want to um, before we go to audience, I just want to chip in one extra point here. Before we talk about audience, jazz as an ensemble has been known that the sense of hierarchy inside the ensemble is very, very weak. It is unlike the classical symphony orchestra where you really have a conductor up there demanding all things high up, and then the others are subordinates. But jazz doesn't have that structure. It is really more egalitarian, more voluntary, more community spirits kind of things. It's like members, right? It's a band relationship. And jazz can be said, when you play jazz, it is actually relationship in action. That's why jazz is a very social uh, action, social kind of music from the beginning. Then now we go over to the role of audience. Now, one thing, how do we listen to jazz? For me, I would like to argue, this is my idea. I think jazz is something that you do not listen to it like how you watch, how you listen to symphony orchestra. You do not just shut all yourself off and pay undivided attention to see what kind of sound picture come out in your mind. But jazz is something for you as an audience to be together with the music and journey together. Nobody know what is going to happen before the playing take place. The player is going to make some very spontaneous decision. So being together and you know join the excitement. So it's a bit like watching a boxing match maybe, but not exactly the same thing. So my point is, jazz is something to be appreciated by the side. Yes, you appreciate something, but you do not put it, face on. But it's something that you be together. That's why it's by the side. You spend time together. You journey together. All the happenings of the music. That's why you can, in jazz performance or even in jazz club, audience can respond with voice, right? With shout. And after the improvisation, audience are free to claps, right? Yes, if you know, in classical performance, if you do that in the middle of a performance, you start clapping, it actually is considered destroying the musical picture. But not jazz. Why? That's all because jazz is an instant. It's a happening. It's not just a picture that hung it on the wall for you to appreciate, but it's a happening. You are actually appreciating the process. So we used to say that jazz musicians play for the house, or we play for the home. What does that mean? Um, that means if you come to a club or come to a cafe, come to somewhere, you are supposed to play the music that host wanted to have. So you play to their style, play to their atmosphere. That's what we call play for the house. So it's not just simply, or it's not a neutral thing. So jazz has its context. Every performance has its context, and it has a space context there, right? So the how the audience listen, how the audience behave, I think it has an effect. In that sense, the audience also contribute to the happening. So in that sense, we say the audience also make the music together, because jazz is never playing in solitude, right? Just borrowed Emerson's word. Jazz musician is not a great musician playing in solitude. So in that sense, in your CMO, all this jazz improvisation that I ask you to play by yourself, philosophically maybe it's not jazz. So you have to be careful there. So there's a big portion that I couldn't teach you in CMO when we have online lesson, because the most philosophical part, the essence of jazz, that's create along with your partners, is the happening at that time, ongoing, ing. Also depends on the response and reaction of the audience. All this cannot be experienced right now. Now, I would just like to do a little bit of this kind of simulations, not simulations, just some imagination about the type of audience that I have experienced this far. Yeah, this is what I call the undesired audience that may kill the performance, or that may actually undermine the meaning of improvisation. Now, situation X is an environment where player is mainly giving attention and constant evaluation by the audience. I mean, in Mandarin, maybe you say, 他有几厉害, that kind of things. Well, basically, this is examination room. So if you go by this kind of audience, as in examination, instrumental assessment, solo recital, and all this, performers will prefer more arranged music to secure the performance, isn't it? Because you're being judged. So it's not good for improvisation. You don't really have a free hand there. Situation Y is where, yes, you are playing in a maybe a jazz live, jazz club or something, but the audience don't understand what you're playing. So that is what happened when we do jazz live in UPM, until I have to educate the audience to be a bit more relaxed. All right. So that a non-responsive audience is very, very bad for us. Yeah, very, very bad for playing. Now Z, the audience is supportive, but it support you for the wrong reason. Now this is where when you have a lot of monkeys in the audience, I experienced it before. The louder you play, the furious your scale become. Suddenly they will start shouting like monkey. But sometimes it's not a good thing, because as if all the things in between that you play doesn't matter. They are just looking for impact. So that is also not an ideal situation. So now, if I put it like this, I hope you can see how difficult it is to really make the real jazz happen. If I say things like this, you can also think, yeah, maybe in No Black Tie and certain places in KL, you can see some true interaction of jazz, but not always, isn't it? And even in a program of study, right from you entering the varsity program until your graduation, maybe you have never got a true or a genuine space to make jazz, and then you call yourself learning jazz. So that is my concern, how important the audience is, because we simply don't have the right audience. So as a final statement, I want to bring back all my sweet memory with UPM Jazz Live. I started the Jazz Live things, I think way back in 2010 or something, and it continued all the way until 2000, maybe 2013, maybe for 2-3 years. My reason for starting is just I can't continue teaching students playing in lesson only. They need to be in the culture. So I try to create a culture. So as I said, I put it, our music house 4 is quite nice because it's old and you know, it's a bit worn down and just has the nice vibe for jazz live. But we have done many times with guest player, with good drummers, fantastic bass players, saxophone players, uh, but we may not have the right audience. So my wish is actually to build the right audience so that the music can go right. What do I mean by right? Back to my statement here, I wanted to safeguard improvisation. I don't want it to become something meaningless. Was I successful? No, totally no. My difficulties with jazz live. But was I happy? Yeah, there were a lot of moments to cherish. The former students as well, I think they do appreciate the jazz life. But it was not successful. Why? Still, when I try to give chance, when the number of students increase, then it tend to turn into hapyokai, in Japanese we call presentation. It's like piano presentation already. Then it's like another form of examination. So what do I dream? I dream of Music House 4 every week, Tuesday and Thursday night. Jazz Live is on. And you, the jazz student, tonight is your night and you play for the whole night. That is actually what I dreamt of. But it didn't happen yet because of a lot of constraint. But those remain for a dream for you to chase. Maybe not in UPM. Please start a jazz live house somewhere. It's more important than your jazz lessons. Thank you.